Welcome back to Grind Mode Worldwide Radio. I'm Ian James.
It's your boy Jay Skyline, and it's time for that sports talk, y'all. I haven't got it in a minute. And we're going to start off on a different tip than football for once. I know not everybody loves football, so we're going to get into this March Madness. We've missed a lot. It's already down to the Final Four, and I made a bracket. I don't know about James, but I got one team right, and it's the team I trust the least, the Virginia Cavaliers, because I didn't have them going to the finals at all. My Final Four originally was Duke, Gonzaga, Virginia, and Kentucky, with Gonzaga and Kentucky going to the Final Four and me having the hope that Gonzaga could pull it off. So, only one of 10 teams made it. James, did you make a bracket?
I didn't because it was too late. I wasn't going to do one.
So,
I don't know.
How do you feel? You have any upsets that you care about the most or the least?
I didn't think Duke was going to lose.
You're one of the only people, because a lot of people just didn't believe in Duke. I will admit, even though I had Duke going to the Final Four, the game I thought they were going to lose was the game against UCF against my boy Taco, Mr. 7'6", out here with the wing, with that. Boy almost can't go under a regular tunnel.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Michigan State's pretty much the only team I pretty much see already pretty much making it. I mean,
yeah, and you're fully right about that. Look at the Final Four.
I think it's probably, I could feel like an Auburn upset, but
really.
But I mean, if it doesn't matter when it comes down to, I don't think they could beat Michigan.
This is my issue. Virginia is the chokingest choke of team. All Virginia teams are. Virginia Tech was the same thing back in the day with Michael Vick. Everything about teams that college teams that come out of Virginia is just out here to choke. They can be as good as y'all want them to be. They will choke in the end, no matter where you are from. If you are a Virginia school, I am sorry. VCU, the Richmond Spiders, all y'all. Y'all just ain't here for us.
You know we're going to have to come back to this clip if they somehow win it.
Fine. Again, but you know what the problem with this clip is going to be? I have no trust in any other team in this except Michigan State, and I don't even like Michigan State. It's just this Michigan State's the only team. We're going to have to look this up because I could be wrong. But again, outside of maybe Virginia, I don't think any of these teams have ever won a basketball national championship. Outside of Michigan State. Check it real quick. I could be wrong. I'm not that big in the NCAA basketball. I could tell you that specifically if it was about football. But like I said, we can check that right now. But I am sure that none of the schools on this, something's wrong. All right, my bad. None of the schools on this list have won a national title in basketball. And if they have, it was 100 years ago. So check that real quick. I'm checking Texas Tech. I'm checking Texas Tech right now.
I'll check Auburn.
But on other things, like I said, teams like Duke not making it.
I mean, I just don't know. I mean, how did they not make it? I mean, I thought they were doing pretty good. I mean, they only lost by 1 point.
Texas Tech only has 4 NCAA tournament berths all time, let alone Final Four, and they're in a major conference. So that's one. Keep on going with what you're saying.
I mean, they only lost by a point, to Michigan State. That was just kind of it's just kind of they kind of won because they just had that good luck day. I don't know. I don't
know.
You're
talking about Texas Tech?
No, Michigan. Whenever they playing Duke on Sunday, they only lost by 1 point.
Oh no, Duke beat UCF by 1 point. UCF is turning into a weird program, both from football and basketball, because they're kind of good in both sports. But I'm telling you, nobody on either of these teams outside of one player is ever going to really make it to the league. Sorry,
only one. I mean, that might be true.
Yeah, Virginia Cavaliers have no national title, so that's 2. And that's the only 1 seed that made it. What's the last team that's on this list again? Oh, Auburn.
I'll look that up.
You got that?
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, now at this point, Michigan State is for sure the only team in the Final Four that has a national title. And even though I'm usually pulling for the team that has never won a national title, I got to roll with Michigan State on this. I'm sorry. That's just what it is with this one. I don't trust.
This is the first time they ever made it to the Final Four.
Oh, this is Auburn's first time ever in the. Oh yeah. So, yeah, I forgot. That was something we said in the beginning. So yeah, Auburn, Texas Tech, Virginia. Virginia's the 1 seed, and I'm like, nah. Michigan State, what is it, 3 seed? 2 seed, my bad. I'm sorry for disrespecting y'all like that. Michigan State's a 2 seed. Texas Tech is a 3 seed from the Big 12. Think about that. I'm not actually sure what sport the Big 12 is good in anymore. Because the Big 12 is a Power 5 conference. But we don't, outside of Kansas, we don't trust them in basketball. And outside of Oklahoma and Texas, we don't trust them in football.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is the Big 12 here for? Big 12 is turning into the Big East real quick for me. Like, the Big East before when things got bad. And then Auburn, I'm sorry. You're part of the SEC. And if it's not Kentucky, I don't really trust y'all. Florida had its 2-year run, but now I don't really trust them. And Florida State be out here with a bunch of dudes with dreads, which I'm sorry, even though I got dreads, we don't play basketball fair. We out here to foul hard. And I was doing that before I had dreads, so I'm just adding to the stereotype now. He knows. So,
Yeah.
So who do you got winning? Well, who do you think is going to win the Michigan State, Texas Tech? I apologize.
I'm gonna have to say Michigan State.
And in Virginia, Auburn.
I would say Auburn, but I mean, just to give them they made it and that was it.
I'm with you. I actually think it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
I think Michigan State's going to win against Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And because I am with, again, Virginia, I'm sorry, but y'all went to the wrong school. Y'all ain't meant to be here. Especially, I hope none of y'all was here from last year. I mean, hopefully. But, yeah, I'm going with Auburn. And because Auburn's coach, even though I'm forgetting the dude's name, I think it's Gene Chizik. I think it is. He used to be Tennessee's head coach. They ran him up.
Wait, for Auburn?
Yeah.
Bruce Pearl?
Oh, Bruce Pearl, my bad. Bruce Pearl was the coach for Tennessee a few years ago, and they kind of ran him out of town, like, disrespectfully. And he was a good coach. To me, he's the basketball equivalent of Les Miles. If I don't know about Les Miles as the college football coach, he's the same dude to me. So I think it's Michigan State, Auburn, and it's going to be, Michigan State, Auburn. Who do you think is going to be winning it all?
It would have to be Michigan State, but if Auburn won it, honestly, it doesn't really matter.
You know how much shit they would talk to the Alabama fans about winning a basketball championship? And Alabama fans probably wouldn't give a damn. And Alabama just fired the basketball coach, who was an NBA legend.
Yeah, they I don't think they would really care. But I mean,
no, they won't. That's the thing.
But,
Auburn would ride down I'm gonna stop before I go there. They're gonna ride down in whatever vehicle y'all own. I'm gonna respect y'all a little bit because I was about to say some wild ass shit. They're gonna ride down with whatever vehicle they own down to Alabama's campus, ride around honking their horns, and I assure you, they still got Confederate flags on their shit. That's not even taking shit too far. And the Confederate flags riding around yelling, "We got a basketball championship," and it's like we got like 25 football championships.
Like during their games, if they would verse each other, they'd be like, "And the national, the home of the national championship basketball, Auburn."
I mean, honestly, look at our own personal rivalry, Penn State, Pittsburgh. The reason Penn State thinks they're better than Pitt is because they got that one title back in '85, and that's the only reason they think they're better than us at this point. Even though we had a title 3 or 4 years before that, and we have more titles than Penn State as a total. We do. We're 6th all time in national titles, but most of them came when Pop Warner was coaching. Which, would you imagine how long ago that was? If Pop Warner was the coach. You only know Pop Warner as the name of Little League football teams. Or leagues. So yeah, he was the coach when they did all that.
Yeah.
So that's how, and honestly, God, it would have been the same thing with West Virginia, but we stopped them from winning that national title. Because they would have won the national title the year we beat them in that backyard brawl. It was 13-9. But we stopped that personally, so hey. So in other other news outside of basketball, let's get into the regular half of this. So you said there was some football news going
on. Yeah. Nothing too. Oh shit. All right. Well, C.J. Anderson, your boy, he was supposed to be the person, like you said, he's gonna be the main backup.
He should have been. They didn't want to go that way. I can't.
But he's going to the Sorry Lions. And they really don't do anything with running backs.
Hey, last year my boy Kerryon Johnson was dope until he got hurt.
That's what happens. They're always open until they get hurt.
And that's really why I'm confused by this. Because I'm still behind Kerryon. I think Kerryon, if people don't get stupid about drafting good running backs next year, will be a decent third running back on the fantasy team. Now, what happens is Kerryon's going to turn into C.J. Anderson, and this nigga's going to end up at the 8th pick in the first round of a draft. I haven't seen any mocks yet. I don't look at mocks until after the actual NFL draft. But I'm sure to God that Kerryon Johnson will probably be a 2nd or 3rd round pick, which will be too high for my blood.
Yeah, but it's a little too high.
Oh, also I saw a question earlier. I don't have the exact way of putting it, but now people are trying to say, who do you think is the number one tight end in the NFL? Now since Gronk is gone.
Gronk was never number one tight end in the last 2-3 years, I'd say. Maybe 2 years ago.
I would say that, but in big games he mattered more.
He mattered.
I would say
he was like a Heath Miller at the end of his career, if you want to.
Man, have you seen them playoff games? Did you watch the same playoff game? Because like I think
I'm not saying like
the AFC title. You know why I think he was still the best tight end when he left the AFC title game? Because who was the one that dominated that game? Gronk. It wasn't Kelsey.
Yeah.
Gronk dominated that,
yeah.
And that's where I'm like, Gronk's injuries made him slow down. But when Gronk needed to be Gronk,
I think he didn't want to go ahead and like be showed up by Kelsey like that.
I don't care. That's the reason why. And Gronk is also a differently sized human being.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah.
Like Gronk is kind of like a Shaq in this sense. Like it's just different with him.
Yeah.
So like no, Gronk was like honestly, and again the problem is he only played 10 years. I am still on. I'm a big Tony Gonzalez guy myself, but honestly, he's arguably the best tight end of all time.
Yeah.
Arguably, like I said, I'm not definitively saying that.
I mean, with like just pretty much with the stats he has.
And again, as you know, what I noticed about Gronk was the idea that we look at the Lions for shortening Barry Sanders' career and definitely shortening Calvin Johnson's career for being bad.
Yeah.
Where Gronk, we're like, yeah, you retired because we know your body's fucked up, and we're cool with that.
Yeah.
So Gronk's legacy, I think, as a legend, will be different for the fact that we know the game took him away from us early.
Yeah.
Not the team.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, Barry Sanders is one of the greatest running backs of all time, but fuck the Lions, because the Lions are the reason we didn't get him for 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
And the same thing, big same thing. Calvin Johnson's probably the best wide receiver of all time. But we will never look at him like that, because he retired like in his year 9, and he never got close to the. He might have passed Jerry Rice. The one season he should have passed Jerry Rice in the in yards.
He was like 2000 something, and he just missed it.
So like Calvin Johnson, I'm sorry, like Calvin Johnson to me is kind of like Bo Jackson, where I'm like, what I've seen out of Bo Jackson, if he didn't get hurt, I think he would have been the greatest NFL player of all time, from what I've understand. And that's really with that with Calvin Johnson. Like, yeah, he would have been the greatest wide receiver of all time. Calvin Johnson was the LeBron James in the NFL, and we lost him because he went to Detroit.
I mean, I don't know. I would just say it's the whole organization for Detroit. I don't know. I mean, like Matthew Stafford, he's really tries. I mean, he pretty much gave him the ball all the time. So, I mean,
I don't blame Matthew Stafford.
I mean, I can't. So, I mean, like you can't blame him.
I don't blame the offense. The offense has never really been that bad.
Yeah, the defense has been like,
and they lose random games.
Yeah, I just don't know what. I don't know.
So I'm confused about one of your favorite teams. The Dolphins are trying to tank, but they signed Fitzmagic. And we talked about Fitzmagic last week, but it makes no sense. The problem with that is Ryan Fitzpatrick is never going to tank. He's out here to throw that 400 yards in either 4 touchdowns or 4 interceptions. It's one or the other. You're either about to win this game or you're going to lose this game with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's going to make these people run, though. People are going to be winded the way he's playing.
Also, who's catching the ball? Is Kenny still on that? No, he's not. Who is still out here playing for the Dolphins as wide receivers? Jarvis Landry is out here putting together LSU 2.0 with him and Odell Beckham Jr. back together.
Pretty much.
Which the fact that them two are on the same team makes no sense, because LSU never has a quarterback. So like that really shocked me that they got 2 of the best wide receivers that are currently in the NFL, but LSU never has a quarterback.
You know, he might actually be on the team. Kenny Stills might be there still. Yeah.
I think that's a terrible number 1 receiver. He's a slot receiver.
You got Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson from the.
Devontae Parker's the best.
He would be the best, but I think he was injured a little bit. I mean, he's here and there.
Kenny Stills ain't that good.
Yeah, Kenny Stills is alright.
Okay, you're talking about him better than I am.
I had him on my fantasy team, so I'm gonna.
It didn't help you much.
He was. You know what? There were some times he did pull through in the beginning, and then he just was like, I can't do this. He just pretty much got me like a few 8 points here and there. It was pretty lousy. Bryce Butler from the Cardinals. They're not really much of a team here. They might be picking up some people. Jakeem Grant.
You don't think they should get in on the Josh Rosen hunt and just go with that? Because I think Josh Rosen's going to get traded.
I don't know why they're out here. I don't think so. Why?
I don't know. I thought Josh Rosen was honestly going to be the best quarterback out of the last class, and that isn't the way it went. But we're gonna maybe talk about that on the next segment a little bit. Yeah. We're gonna let y'all go, give y'all a little break. It's Jay Skyline
and James over here,
and that was Unfiltered. Be right back.